Tonight, don't look down. 13 mobile phone cameras to be installed across Adelaide. We tell you where. Cycling champion Rowan Dennis dumb from the TDU as we reveal shock details about his wife's death. The tiny bingle that had hundreds of South Aussie beachgoers caught in gridlock. A grandfather, one of two Port Augusta train drivers killed in a deadly derailment. Welcome to 2024. South Aussies make it to midnight in spectacular style. And David Warner fights back tears before calling it quits.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Mike Smithson.
Good evening. A $650 fine and 3 demerit points. That's how much it'll cost you if you're caught by one of South Australia's new mobile phone cameras. They're being installed across the city and are expected to cost distracted drivers $20 million in their first year alone.
Coming to a road near you from Darlington in the south to Jepps Cross in the north, plus 3 trouble spots in between. They are the eye in the sky. There will be nowhere to hide from these cameras catching drivers in the act.
The number of people that are using their mobile phones and undertaking other types of distracted driving is alarmingly high. Almost a half of all fatalities on our roads have a contributing factor, that is distraction.
There are 5 digital message boards with a total of 13 cameras installed, designed to drive down distraction and lower the road toll.
Distraction kills. When people know they're being watched, they actually change their behaviour.
It follows a 3-month trial, but the Minister claims he doesn't know how many offences were picked up during that time.
So that wasn't information that was available to me.
A 3-month grace period starting in June will give drivers an opportunity to get used to the cameras before the fines start kicking in. And they'll sting a staggering $540 plus a $99 victims of crime levy and a loss of 3 demerit points.
It's steep, but yeah, I guess the best thing is to just stay off your phone.
You'd be hard pressed to find someone who hasn't, but I think that introducing these cameras has made people think twice.
AI technology will pick up the slightest indiscretion, capturing high-quality images from multiple angles through the driver's windscreen, even as they're driving along. And unlike speed camera sites, there'll be no warning signs. The cameras will be fully operational from September, and the anticipated $20 million generated in the first year alone will go back into improving road safety. Deanna Williams, 7 News.
7 News can reveal explosive new details about the night Olympic cyclist Rowan Dennis allegedly struck and killed his wife outside the couple's Medindi home. Police are investigating whether the mother of 2 climbed onto the bonnet of the ute in a desperate bid to stop it from leaving.
She was a cycling great, a 2-time Olympian and former world champion. But today, Melissa Hoskins is being remembered as a beautiful soul.
I don't think I have cried so hard and so loud for so long in all my life. It's probably the most shocking news I've ever received.
Tributes have poured in for the 32-year-old from across the globe. Track cycling great and former Olympic teammate Anna Mears posting, "This is a very difficult time." While from Oz Cycling, Melissa, a mother, daughter and wife, was also a champion cyclist who thrilled and inspired. Her young life was cut short after being hit just metres from her multi-million-dollar home in Medindi on Saturday night. Her husband and the father of her 2 young children, Rowan Dennis, behind the wheel, now charged with death by dangerous driving.
From the moment she started dating Rowan, she committed 100% to all of the troubles and difficulties that he went through in his career.
7 News understands that one version of events may be that there was an argument and she was trying to stop the car by climbing onto the bonnet before she was hit and killed. Today, the Tour Down Under announced the former winner and now retired champion cyclist Rowan Dennis would not be at this year's event. While he awaits court, devastated loved ones are coming to terms with her loss.
I love you, Mel. You were special. One of a kind.
Hannah Ford, 7 News.
There have been chaotic scenes at one of South Australia's busiest beaches, making it nearly impossible to access. Live now to Casey Treloar. Case, a minor crash has caused a massive headache for commuters.
Mike, while heavy traffic here at Aldinga Beach has been flowing well all day for the hundreds of cars coming and going, it has been a very different story down at Treloar. Beach Road became a traffic jam for much of the afternoon, and as you can see, no one was moving anywhere. A minor collision on the access track earlier in the day caused a huge backlog for motorists, both wanting to get on the beach and for those trying to get off. Then there was concern the high traffic load would soften the sand, leading to cars getting bogged. Heavy machinery was called in to pack it down before letting drivers back through. But local businesses are thrilled. They say today is the first real busy day of the season. In recent weeks, it hasn't been warm enough to attract the usual hordes of tourists, and we have more warmth in store for the metro area, but there may be some storms on the way. Those details in the forecast later this hour. Mike?
Thanks, Casey. A rideshare driver will face court charged with killing a young motorcyclist at a busy North Adelaide intersection. It ended what's been a horror year on South Australian roads, with the death toll the highest it's been in more than a decade.
Just hours before the new year, emergency crews work frantically to prevent one last road death, to no avail.
You can see it was serious because I had a curtain blocking the view for other people to see.
The motorcyclist collided with an SUV just before 7 last night at the intersection of Main North Road and Fitzroy Terrace. The impact so bad it split the bike in half and critically injured the 23-year-old rider, who didn't survive.
Not just the person who lost their life, it's the people around him, which will feel it all their lives.
A 30-year-old Northfield man has been arrested and charged with causing death by dangerous driving and aggravated driving without due care.
The Elizabeth East man is the second motorcyclist to die on SA roads in the past week. A Penfield father was killed on Friday in Paralawi, making it the worst year for motorcycle fatalities in 7 years. 117 lives were lost on SA roads last year, almost 50 more than the year before.
This is the highest toll since 2010. when it was 118.
Authorities are desperate for those figures to come down this year.
Each life lost on our road is the loss of a loved one. It's the loss of a family member, a friend, a community member. It's not just a number.
Kimberly Pratt, 7 News.
And Blackwood serial roundabout hoon has finally booked a date with a magistrate. As 7 News first revealed, the driver of this black Holden Calais had been menacing locals by using the roundabout as his own private racetrack. Police viewed CCTV and identified the 18-year-old driver from Paraka. He's lost his licence for 12 months and will be without a car for the next 28 days. There's been a New Year's Eve mayhem at a busy South Road intersection after a drunken disqualified driver ran a red light and crashed into two other vehicles at Mile End. Fortunately, the innocent motorist escaped injury, but a police officer was taken to hospital after being assaulted during the arrest. He suffered minor injuries. The 37-year-old driver from Pasadena will face court tomorrow on a raft of serious charges. A 75-year-old truck driver will face court in Port Pirie tomorrow, charged with causing a fatal train derailment in the state's outback. A giant crane has been brought in to clear the scene, but it's likely to take days.
Trapped beneath this chaotic, mangled mess, two victims of a collision with brutal force. Police will allege a 75-year-old Queenslander caused this disaster when his truck crossed into the train's path on the Barrier Highway, 100 kilometres from Broken Hill. The crash killing 57-year-old grandfather Kevin Baker. His sister Wendy telling 7 News, "We are gutted by his loss." Also killed his Port Augusta colleague, 48-year-old Mick Warren, buried together under the wreckage. Police from South Australia and New South Wales combined as major crash investigators scoured the scene. Transport safety authorities are also working out how the crash could have happened. The crossing is signposted, has warning signals and a clear line of sight to oncoming trains.
If the lights are flashing, you don't even think about crossing the rail line.
The impact of this collision was so great, police say the road surface was damaged and needed to be ticked off by safety inspectors before reopening.
The barrier highway remains closed and it will do for some time. It's a complex scene.
It's already been blocked for more than 30 hours, shutting Broken Hill's quickest route to Adelaide. Drivers instead have to travel via Mildura, adding nearly 2 hours to the trip. The train's operator, Pacific National, released a statement saying it is an extremely difficult time and that the entire organisation is devastated by this tragic collision.
Over 15 million crossings a year and almost no incidents. That tells you that the great bulk of drivers get this right all the time.
The truck driver's facing 2 counts of death by dangerous driving and will face court in Port Pirie tomorrow. Tom Johnson, 7 News.
2023 has officially been given the boot, with tens of thousands of revellers packing hotspots from the city to the bay to welcome in the new year. But police say there were also dozens of troublemakers determined to ruin the party.
There was a spectacular New Year's light show at Alder Park, delighting thousands of families.
Just being together, I think, we're all family and we're having a really great time.
Revellers happy to see the fireworks return after COVID.
I want to be here to be very happy for all of us.
The dog and duck went off for the countdown on Hindley Street. Families packed in along the beaches. Locals pleased the fireworks were back at Semaphore too.
Are you looking forward to the fireworks?
Yeah! That's what we're here for! When all the fireworks came together and made that big explosion! Happy New Year!
Yes. Glenelg was party central for thousands of revellers.
I'm excited, it's going to be wicked.
But it wasn't easy getting inside some of the local night spots.
We are celebrating New Year's in a line. Yes. So worth it. So worth it.
The usual antics kept police on their toes. An 18-year-old man arrested here, later charged over a fight near a popular Hindley Street night spot. The party over early at Glenelg for this reveller too. But overall, arrests were down across the state. There were also fewer expiation notices issued and people reported.
The usual large events were seen right across the state and the majority of the public were well behaved.
The pressure was on to lure in revellers after some quieter nights this year.
It's been tough, but we're doing our best.
Countless New Year's resolutions were made as South Australians welcomed in 2024, but only time will tell how many will actually keep them.
Not have a hangover tomorrow. No promises.
Drink more red tins than I did last year. And that's a lot.
Have fun, stress less, and enjoy life.
One thing's for sure, many are nursing sore heads today. Ashley Kanowski, 7 News.
We have an update tonight on the Australian father fighting for life following a moped accident in Bali. 24-year-old Kevin Maligan has been given medical clearance to be flown home for emergency treatment. He'd been holidaying on the Indonesian island just weeks before the birth of his second child when he fell off the bike and hit his head. A GoFundMe campaign to bring Kevin home has raised almost $85,000. New Year celebrations turned to tragedy in Perth after 2 children drowned in the Swan River. Members of the public tried desperately to resuscitate them, but the children aged just 4 and 6 couldn't be saved.
The worst possible start to 2024.
All of a sudden we just hear screaming coming from besides the water.
As thousands of families gathered to watch the New Year's fireworks, excitement turned to panic when the alarm was raised. 2 children unresponsive in the water. Bystanders turned first responders, pulling them out and performing CPR until police and paramedics arrived.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and those people that were involved. We can only begin to imagine the trauma and suffering that those family will be experiencing at this time.
One boy, One girl, just 4 and 6 years old.
That moment, everyone is just gathered around. You know, there's a lot of panic and chaos, and that's when the mother came over. And oh my God! As soon as she came over, she dropped on the floor. She collapsed. She passed out.
9 ambulances responded, rushing them to Perth Children's Hospital, but they couldn't be saved. Today, a single teddy from a stranger marks the spot where 2 little lives were lost. The tragedy has sparked an outpouring of support for the families and an urgent safety warning from Royal Lifesaving WA that every Australian child must learn to swim.
I'm really concerned that kids are not getting those basic foundation skills to be able to be water safe and know how to swim, because all drownings are preventable.
Police will now prepare a report for the coroner as 2 families prepare to bury their children. Cyan Balance, 7 News.
South Australian holidaymakers on the Gold Coast are caught up in Queensland's second natural disaster in less than a week. More than half a metre of rain has fallen in some parts, with dozens rescued and almost 15,000 people without power.
Less than a week on from a Christmas deluge, there's a new life-threatening emergency on the Gold Coast. Violent electrical storms lighting up the night sky, causing intense rainfall and a flooding crisis. Up to a half a metre of torrential rain inundating the Gold Coast right down to Coffs Harbour.
We're only lucky that we haven't had any serious injuries or fatalities.
Flash flood waters raged through the suburbs. This woman rescued from the roof of her car, while New Year holidaymakers also stranded after campgrounds became swamped.
I woke up to flashing lights into my tent, and then a tree fell on it. I was probably 50 metres down a river, wedged in a tree.
More than 100 rescued by boat and taken to dry ground.
Oh my God, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get out.
Theme parks including Dreamworld, Movie World and Whitewater World all shut down due to safety concerns. Thrill seekers turned away at the gate.
Yeah, we didn't realise it was shut.
Frustrated because we got our friends want to go to the park today.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
David Warner has confirmed his retirement from one-day internationals as well as Test cricket. Wednesday's Sydney Test will be his last. He'll keep playing other formats, but at 37, Warner is also stepping away from the 50-over game.
Giving back time to his family, David Warner calling stumps on his Test career.
To be here, 112 Tests I think it is, coming out for the last time, it's still pinching myself.
That announcement came as no surprise, but his next did.
I'm definitely retiring from one-day cricket as well.
Warner says he'd pencilled in retiring ahead of last year's second Ashes Test at Lord's. Instead, alongside childhood mate and opening partner Usman Khawaja, Warner says he gets a fairy tale ending on his home ground.
A boy from Housing Commission having a dream. You know, I've not always fitted the mould, but I've been authentic and honest.
But a career that hit its lowest point following Sandpaper Gate and a 12-month ban, costing Warner leadership roles. Today, he says, there are no regrets.
You have to move forward, and I've done that with dignity. I've come back.
Concentrating now on T20 and cricket commentary.
So hopefully he can go out on a high. Be great to see him get 100 here in front of his home crowd.
David Warner says he hopes to finish his Test career as part of an Australian whitewash over Pakistan. But here at the SCG this week, the most important colour is pink. The 16th annual Pink Test, raising money for breast cancer.
Probably the biggest sporting charity partnership anywhere in the world.
With the most ambitious targets yet, funding 250 breast cancer nurses to support patients like Christy Wales, diagnosed at just 26.
Found a lump and then a week later you get told it's breast cancer, which is just shocking, and it really just kind of tears your world apart.
The New Year Test. All we need is for the rain to stay away. Chris Marr, 7 News.
Fat chance of that at Sydney. Hey, Abba, what else have you got coming up?
Smith, as we saw, all is getting set for the third test coming up in Sydney against Pakistan. Also coming up a bit later, 3 strikes and you're out at the New Year's Eve at Big Bash at Adelaide Oval. Another stinking third quarter from the 36ers cost them dearly. And Ange Postecoglou wins the game, but loses his cool. Smitho, you should get some lessons from you. You never lose your cool.
Never ever, not like him. Thanks, Bruce. Well, our Australian Queen, Princess Mary, is said to take the Danish crown in a matter of weeks. That's coming up. Also ahead, a man loses his hand in a towing disaster at Largs Bay. Tributes for a fearless Australian journalist. And the Aussie celebrity coach with a simple trick to help you lose weight and gain energy this new year. A man's had his hand severed while attempting to tow a car at Largs North. Police say he'd been trying to fix a rope between two vehicles when the driver in the front inched forward. That caused the rope to tighten around the victim's wrist. Fortunately, an off-duty nurse provided vital first aid. The severed hand was put on ice and sent to the Royal Adelaide with its owner. Australia's own Crown Princess Mary of Denmark will soon be the country's Queen after her mother-in-law's shock decision to stand down, the announcement made in a televised national address. Mary's husband Frederick will take the throne in exactly a fortnight.
20 years after a fairy tale wedding, the former Miss Mary Donaldson will become Queen of Denmark after her mother-in-law's New Year's Eve surprise.
I have decided that now is the right time. On the 14th of January 2024, 52 years after I succeeded my beloved father, I will step down as Queen of Denmark. I will hand over the throne to my son, Crown Prince Frederick.
He will become King Frederick X, Mary, his queen, sending a buzz through her hometown of Hobart.
Oh, good on a good Tassie girl.
Next roll up, next step up. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, that's good, very good.
I suppose she's been in waiting, so it's good. Fabulous. Well done her.
Queen Margareta underwent back surgery in February last year. A widely beloved, chain-smoking, history-making monarch. Currently the longest reigning sovereign among Europe's royal households after the death of Queen Elizabeth. Now the first Danish monarch to abdicate. It will happen on January 14. Denmark's government will meet to formally name Frederick as king. The declaration made at Copenhagen's Christiansborg Palace. There'll be no grand coronation, but plenty of congratulations already. The Tasmanian Premier says, with her demonstrated humility, grace and kindness, I'm sure Crown Princess Mary will be embraced as Queen alongside her husband, King Frederick. Princess Mary is a wonderful ambassador for Tasmania.
Wow, Tasmanian Queen. Well done to her.
Mary and family are regular visitors home, mostly for holidays, always relaxed and low-key. Here she is with her twins just before Christmas. But from now on, they'll be state visits with all the protection and protocol that goes with being a king and queen. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Pioneering journalist and filmmaker John Pilger has died at the age of 84. The Australian storyteller rose to prominence covering the atrocities of Pol Pot's regime in Cambodia and more recently campaigned for the rights of Palestinians in Gaza.
For half a century, he brought the front line into global living rooms.
This is bomb damage in Gaza.
Reporting the stories behind the stories.
And this is the front line less than 50 miles from the capital, Phnom Penh.
John Pilger's reports were special, and without exception, he advocated for the little guy.
Almost 1 million Palestinians are trapped behind electrified barbed wire and roadblocks.
War zones, international politics, an ardent critic of Western foreign policy and champion for Julian Assange.
The aim was to silence and criminalise WikiLeaks.
He wanted to tell truth to power in a way that many journalists didn't.
Pilger won an Emmy Award, a BAFTA, an advocate for Indigenous Australians at a time it was not fashionable.
Australia is a secret country with a secret history.
And his work on thalidomide deformities helped secure compensation for victims.
Go into people's lives, being able to go and find out what the hell is going on is a huge privilege.
The Maverick journo's family says his work was celebrated around the world. He was 84. Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
A great man indeed. Well, from London to New York after the break, see how the rest of the world rang in 2024. Plus, New Year's resolutions, game plan, the Aussie twins who shared the kilos and still ate 5 meals a day. What's their secret? What's new and what they knew, cabinet secrets from 2003 finally revealed. And New Year's newborns, the Angaston parents who rang in the new year with their midnight miracle. The federal government has blocked the release of national security records which detail Australia's decision to commit troops to the US-led invasion of Iraq 20 years ago. A review is underway as cabinet records from 2003 are made public for the first time.
Dominating the world stage, the war in Iraq had a firm grip on politics in Australia. This was 2003, a bloody and brutal invasion in the Middle East, the perceived threat of weapons of mass destruction driving decision-making at the time.
So there was a feeling of, I wouldn't say out of control, but we didn't know whether, was Australia about to be attacked?
After 9/11 and the Bali bombings, Australia joined the US at war.
Slightly unnerving because you don't know what the future holds and where that threat might lead.
The UN Secretary-General deemed the invasion illegal.
War must always be a last resort.
These are the cabinet documents from 2003, 20 years old and only made public today.
And these records in particular, I think, are important just purely because of what was occurring both within Australia and around the world at the time.
Australia sent troops despite nationwide protests and without a cabinet submission on the costs and benefits of going to war.
Howard wants the issue to be handled by himself, so he makes these oral submissions. It was being discussed in granular detail by the National Security Committee.
The mastermind behind the reign of terror, Saddam Hussein, captured in December that year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Every moment beamed into homes.
For President Bush, Saddam's arrest was completion of a job started by his father 12 years ago.
But weapons of mass destruction were never found.
I suspect he'd actually got rid of them.
There's a lot missing from these records. Documents from the National Security Committee haven't been made public. And that's where former Prime Minister John Howard made some of his biggest decisions regarding the war. The contents of 32 meetings and 206 submissions shrouded in secrecy.
At the moment, we don't hold any of those records from the 2003 period.
The long-term consequences of the war more clear.
I thought it was the wrong decision, that it would lead to disaster, and I think after the very quick victory over Saddam, it did turn out badly for America in subsequent years.
Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
There's been another skirmish in the Red Sea. The US has destroyed 3 boats manned by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels who'd been attempting to board a container ship. The captain of the Danish-owned ship issued a distress call after the boats came within metres of it. Helicopters from nearby American warships responded, firing upon and sinking the boats. A castle dating back to the 17th century has been badly damaged by fire in the northwest of France. Drone pictures show flames tearing through the roof as around 100 firefighters tried to bring them under control to prevent the building collapsing. The castle, which was heritage listed in the 1950s, has been abandoned for more than a decade. All over the world, cities have celebrated the start of 2024. Crowds dazzled by spectacular light displays. Landmarks came alive for the worldwide party, bringing hope for the year ahead.
Welcoming in a new year of opportunity. New York City alive with confetti raining down on the biggest crowd Times Square has seen since 2019. 1 million people packing in to watch the ball drop at midnight. Across the globe, skies glittered with celebrations. Qatar a spectacle for the senses. Nearby in Dubai, the Burj Khalifa was beaming from every angle. Hong Kong producing its largest light show ever, Victoria Harbour, a kaleidoscope of colour. Athens ushering in the new year as fireworks flared over ancient landmarks. Paris partying into 2024, the City of Light, living up to its name. But for war-torn Gaza, midnight flares and explosions, despite prayers for peace in 2024. A survivor of the Kharkiv missile in Ukraine says, "This is our new year, fighting back tears." In Kenya, celebrations turned to panic as fireworks set a Nairobi skyscraper ablaze. Young men in Berlin dicing with danger, sending fireworks into crowds. A special message lit up the night sky in London. A worldwide party where everyone has a ticket. In the United States, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Well, it's one of the most visited places in all of Europe, but now Venice is taking steps to reduce the impacts of tourism as locals flee the canal city in droves. From June, it's banning loudspeakers and tour groups of more than 25 people. Tourism is an urgent issue for the city, which is visited by tens of millions of people every year. The identical twins who shed unwanted kilos and still ate 5 meals a day, an Australian celebrity coach reveals their secrets. That's coming up next. Also ahead, more than a dozen people injured after a mystery backyard blast during a New Year's Eve party. And see the moment shoppers are caught in a tense standoff over a prime parking spot. Backyard celebration on New Year's Eve almost turned deadly in Melbourne when a partygoer threw a chemical onto a fire. 15 people were injured, 1 critically, with at least 8 suffering burns so severe they were rushed to hospital.
The surprise birthday party ended with more than a dozen people in hospital.
And before we know it, you see this big bang. Oh, I was completely shocked. I had no idea what happened.
The backyard of this Mill Park home went up in flames after a chemical was poured onto a fire.
He was excited. I think it was a charcoal spit that he was going to put on. They were partying and then all of a sudden everything stopped.
15 people were injured, including a man in his 30s with critical burns. 8 others, including a teenage girl, were taken to hospital. 4 were treated on scene for burns.
Something like 10 ambulances and then 4 fire trucks and about 6 police cars.
Yeah, lovely family. And they're family people as well, but I just hope they're doing it right.
Today, loved ones helped in the clean-up, removing blankets left behind by paramedics. Tonight, 10 people remain in hospital. Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
A shopping centre parking stoush has erupted between a driver, a woman trying to reserve a space at a Melbourne shopping centre. The driver didn't hesitate to turn into the empty park, forcing the woman to move out of the way. Well, with the New Year plans coming for new goals and a healthier lifestyle coming up, celebrity coach Samantha Jackson reveals her top tips to lose weight, have more energy and feel your best in 2024. So don't miss that story a little later in 7 News. Bruce is back, and Brucey, Dave Warner's retirement, well, it's official.
Well, he said he wanted to retire at the Sydney Test, but also from the one-day games as well, which his average is very, very good as well. So a bit of a surprise there. Also coming up after the break, we'll preview the 3rd Test against Pakistan, which starts at the SCG on Wednesday. Our strikers rack up the runs, but a big hitter answers his critics to steal the win. And Spurs gets the points, but Ange wasn't happy. Welcome back. Aussie opener Dave Warner has fought back tears ahead of his Test farewell on Wednesday. The 37-year-old also made a shock announcement on his one-day future while reflecting on the lowest point of his career.
A family affair for the Warners, hand in hand on Dad's beloved SCG.
I'm feeling great. It's a great decision I think I've made. You know, I've got to give back to the family.
As dashing Dave prepares to don the baggy green for one last time, came this announcement about his one-day future following Australia's thrilling World Cup win.
I'll make that decision today as well to retire from those forms.
For now, the focus is squarely on a series sweep in Wednesday's third test against Pakistan, the 112th of Warner's decorated career, and a fitting fairy tale ending alongside long-time teammate Usman Khawaja.
When you're childhood friends and you get to go out here at the SCG as kids, as you know, dreaming big, it's a great fitting. I'm loving that.
No stranger to controversy, Warner admits he's come a long way since the 2018 South African sandpaper saga.
I've got no regrets. You have to move forward, and I've done that with dignity.
The modern-day Master Blaster retires fifth on Australia's all-time Test run-scoring list behind Ricky Ponting, Alan Border, Steve Waugh and Steve Smith. His one-day record is equally as impressive, 6,932 runs, the sixth most. His 22 tonnes, second only to punter. But that record might not be set in stone just yet, with the 2025 Champions Trophy in Pakistan still on the radar.
And I'm around, and they need someone. I'm going to be available.
Theo Doropoulos, 7 News.
The Adelaide Strikers rang in the new year with a third straight Big Bash loss, going down to the Melbourne Stars by 7 wickets. Chris Lynn belted 83 off 42 balls to help the home side reach 4 for 205, but Melbourne's Marcus Stoinis provided fireworks of his own.
With Melbourne 3 for 137 in the 14th over, Adelaide fancied its chances. Enter Marcus Stoinis.
Swings even better. Over the top into the Edwin Smith stand.
Averaging just 6 for the tournament so far, Stoinis smashed 55 off just 19 balls, guiding the Stars to victory with back-to-back sixes with an over to spare.
And another free one. Stoinis finishes this game in style.
Yeah, it was good fun. I mean, the boys set it up, though, for me to just come out and put a few swings on it. So, yeah, they played really well.
The Strikers got the party started with opener Matt Short and Chris Lynn going at nearly 13 runs and over. At one point, Adelaide was eyeing off something close to 250.
There's another one. 6-6 of the innings.
Short went for 56 and Adam Hose and Jamie Overton couldn't keep up the pace. The BBL's all-time leading run scorer finished 83 not out, but Adelaide's total of 205 was light work for the man of the match. Adelaide's fifth on the ladder. Next up, the Scorchers in Perth on Wednesday night. Robbie Cornthwaite, 7 News.
And tonight, the Sixers head to the Gabba to take on the Heat. It's live here on 7 right after the news. Well, new mum Naomi Osaka has made a winning return to tennis. The 4-time major champion hadn't played since September 2022, but breezed past her German opponent at the Brisbane International.
The last couple of years that I played before, I had my daughter, I didn't return as much love as I was given, so I really feel like that's what I want to do in this chapter.
Rafael Nadal lost his doubles match to Aussies Jordan Thompson and Max Purcell, while in the United Cup, Novak Djokovic was in the firing line before leading Serbia to a win over China just before midnight. He was then able to lead the New Year's celebrations. A frustrated 36ers coach Scott Innes has lamented another horror third quarter after their 7-point loss to Illawarra last night. Adelaide led by a point at half-time but were belted 31-12 in the third.
There has to be an expectation now that we get back on the training track, we iron out these kinks, and then when we hit those roadblocks during games, we just find a way as a group to get out of them.
Troy Kell had a triple-double and Isaac Humphries finished with 26 points in the loss. Adelaide hosts the top of the table Melbourne United on Saturday night. There were fireworks of a different kind for Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. Tottenham secured a 3-1 win over Bournemouth, moving them within 3 points of league leaders Liverpool.
Came together and wish each other a happy new year, mate, and made some resolutions.
Arsenal again blew a chance to go top, losing to Fulham 2-1. But tonight, that's our sport. Of course, the BBL coming up, Smitho, and I love Ange. He is as dry as they get. Dry as a bit of sandpaper, so to speak. Thanks, Bruce. Well, with a new year upon us, many South Australians are setting themselves goals in pursuit of a healthier lifestyle. Celebrity coach Samantha Jackson has revealed some of the simplest tips to losing weight, having more energy and feeling your best in 2024.
They're the 45-year-old identical twins who battled with an identical problem.
I just reached probably rock bottom as far as like how we were feeling about ourselves, didn't we? Yeah. And I just started thinking, I don't even know how I'm ever going to, how we were ever going to pull ourselves out of it.
From fad diets to weight loss surgery, Nat and Mandy thought they'd tried it all. Trainer Samantha Jackson, who helped movie star Mel Gibson shed the kilos, put the twins on a program, eating 5 meals a day and exercising for 30 minutes. After 8 weeks, each dropped 7 kilos and gained energy.
What they've lost between them is 77 centimetres, and if you're wondering what that looks like, it's that. That is how much they have lost off of their body measurements.
That includes 13 centimetres each off their waists.
Can't believe how much we eat. Even after like 8 weeks, I still can't get through my head that we can eat 5 meals a day. Yeah.
The secret, balancing blood sugar by eating a meal of protein, carbs and good fats every 3 hours.
They've balanced their blood sugar. So eating their protein and their carbs together means that they're not getting the peaks and the drops during the day. Everything is really nice and balanced.
Nat and Mandy also underwent a scan to look at the toxic fat around their organs. Anything above around 500 grams puts you at risk of disease like diabetes, cancer, heart disease and stroke.
Your visceral adipose tissue, so that toxic belly fat that's sitting behind your abdominal wall, in your last scan was over 700 grams. Now we're looking at 590. Yes!
Yes! Honestly, I feel like we're finally living our best life. Yeah. Don't you reckon? Yeah, totally agree.
Changing habits and changing lives. Chantel Tui, 7 News.
Well, what a way to ring in the new year. After the break, we meet one of the first babies of 2024 and his proud parents.
And weather-wise, we've got some humid and potentially...
For Adelaide's latest news and more, tune in to 5AA Breakfast tomorrow morning.
We have some serious breaking news just in, and a tsunami alert has just been issued in Japan after a major earthquake. It hit in the west of the country, measuring 7.6. A tsunami has been confirmed and residents are being urged to move to higher ground with fears the wave could reach as high as 5 metres. We'll certainly keep an eye on that. Now a look at our weather, and Casey joins us again from Aldinga. Case, what's in store tomorrow?
Mike, it'll be a little sunnier and even a little warmer tomorrow. So no doubt this coastal hotspot will be flooded with carloads of holiday makers yet again. Local businesses say today has been the first real busy day of the season, with recent cooler temperatures keeping most tourists away from the water. In the city today, we reached a top just shy of 28 degrees. It's still around 25 now. And while it was warm around western-facing coastlines, some southerly winds produced another relatively cool day for southern-facing coastal areas. Victor Harbour today reaching a top of just 20 degrees. Now, we've got 2 systems of low pressure either side of the state, and they could deliver some wet and stormy conditions for both eastern and western border districts tomorrow. Then some unstable conditions here by the middle of the week. Interstate tomorrow, another very wet days in store for Brisbane, with up to 70 millimetres of rain, a top of 29 for Sydney, showers developing, and 26 for Melbourne. Back home, temperatures around the 40+ degree mark across our northern areas. Mostly sunny and 36 for Port Augusta, 30 the top for Whyalla, 38 for Renmark, 31 for Kadina and Murray Bridge. Still cooler about southern coast, with 24 for Port Lincoln, 23 for Victor Harbour. Showers possible about the southeast with a top of 27 for Mount Gambier. Strong winds are forecast about the following coastal areas, and there is a severe heat wave warning for the northeast pastoral district. For the city, down to 17, then warming up to a mostly sunny top of 30 degrees. On metro waters, south to southeasterly winds to 15 knots, turning southwesterly to 20 knots, seas increasing to 1.5 metres. Now, there is a bit of uncertainty in the forecast ahead, with some unstable air around. Grey skies returning on Wednesday, possible storm with a top of 27. A warm and windy day Thursday, reaching 30, 31 Friday with storms a chance for the northern suburbs, 33 Saturday with showers and a possible storm on Sunday. And before I go, let's take a look at tonight's ray of sunshine. At 12:55 this morning, Barossa Valley parents Johnny and Veronica not only welcomed the new year, but also their baby boy Cole. Just hours late of his December 31st due date, the happy and healthy little one was one of the first babies born at the Women's and Children's for 2024.
So I was asleep and I missed the New Year's countdown. Pretty lucky to have
Yeah, baby, as one of the first babies to be born in the state.
So due in 2023, but actually born in 2024. Little Cole, certainly the perfect ray of sunshine to start the new year.
Thanks, Case. That's all the news for now. I'll have updates throughout the evening. We're keeping our eye on the Japan tsunami. I'll see you again tomorrow night at 6, but from all the Adelaide team for now, good night.